I'm not joking when I say that the Cardinals might have suffered their worst loss in franchise history. Okay, I'm being a bit dramatic, but still, it was absolutely horrific. The Mets, they struck at midnight Eastern time last night, and there's a new nickname going around. They're calling themselves the Midnight Mets. And Elly Cruz, he trolled the Nationals after Washington thought that he was maybe using an illegal batting knob, but no, he was just using it for comfort, and yeah, he trolled them back. All of that in today's MLB Recap, a series in which we recap every single game almost every single day. But before we get into the full games from yesterday, I want to give you guys an update on the full home run derby bracket because it's done, and this is brought to you by SORARE MLB. In round number 1, we have Luis Robert Jr. versus Adley Rutschman. Adley is probably going to be the only guy in the derby that is going to hit left-handed. Round number 2, we have Adolis Garcia versus Randy Arozarena. That is going to be a fun matchup. Pete Alonso, he is coming back to try and reclaim his throne as the home run derby champion. He's facing off against J-Rod, and we have Mookie Betts, who is kind of a surprising pick, but he's at 22, 23 home runs. He's facing off against Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I'm excited for that. I'll be at the derby, so you're going to be seeing some content from me. I cannot wait. And remember, this was brought to you by SORARE MLB, MLB's newest fantasy baseball game. Come join my free-to-play private league. You can face off against me every single week. Click that link in the description down below, and I'll see you guys out there. Now, before we talk about the Yankees game, I got to show this Cardinals and Marlins game. It took a minimum of 5 years off the life expectancy of St. Louis Cardinals fans. Matthew Liberatore, he has been a complete bust in my opinion. He got lit up for 4 runs in the first. He lasted all of 0.1 innings. An RBI single from rookie Dane Myers was Miami's 4th run, and Gene Segura, he walked in the 5th in the very next inning. But this is why the St. Louis Cardinals fan base lost years off their life, because the Cardinals made it a game. Arenado and Contreras, they both hit doubles with runners on. Now all of a sudden it's a 2-run game. Nolan Gorman, he's up. And now it's not a 2-run game. It is a tie ball game. Nolan Gorman's 17th home run gives him 51 RBIs. Jacob Stallings of Miami, he's usually worthless in the dish. He unties it. Both teams, they traded runs for the next few frames when the rookie phenom Jordan Walker, he clutched up for his biggest moment yet. He launched a 445-foot 2-run blast off of AJ Puck. He just needs Jordan Hicks to dial it up and convert the save. There was a sweaty finish, but he's going to make the easy throw for the second. Oh, no. No. Jordan Hicks messed up the throwing meter. Miami, they're going to walk it off. The Cardinals, they fall to 35-51, while the Marlins, they're now 51-37. That ties the best start in franchise history through 88 games. Kim Ng, the GM of the Marlins, she's doing a fantastic job. All right, let's get into this Baltimore and Yankee game, and you want to hear something crazy? Josh Donaldson now has 13 hits on the season after that home run. 9 of those 13 hits have been for a home run. Dean Kremer, he allowed a second to score, but that wasn't his fault. It was an unearned run. He's going to try and go 7. He just needs his offense to step up, and look who did it. Colton Cowser, in his MLB debut in Yankee Stadium, he grabs his first career hit and RBI all in one swing. There's another rookie, Jordan Westbrook. He ripped a 2-run 3-bagger to put the Orioles up by 2, and to be honest, I think that Jorge Mateo's time in Baltimore is coming to an end. You have Gunnar at shortstop, Westbrook at third base, Frazier at second. Staying with Frazier, that sac fly was huge because Volpe, the dude just can knock it out. I'm going to go ahead and knock on wood, but he's now hitting .355 with 9 extra base hits and a .417 on base percentage since eating that chicken parmesan. With Yankees hitting coach Austin Wells, obviously he's a prospect, not a hitting coach, but that's the joke. Ryan O'Hearn, he doesn't care about any of that. He sent a 2-run home run out. He's hitting .295 with 7 home runs. Felix Bautista, he struck out 2 more because of course he did. He has 23 saves and 81 strikeouts in 40 innings. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, it was probably hard for the Yankees to really focus up or even care about this game because prior to the game happening, relief pitcher Jimmy Cordero was banned for the rest of 2023 for breaking MLB's off-the-field conduct policies. I won't get fully into it, but it blows my mind that I keep having to ask this question. How hard is it to be a good person? There is no place in the game of baseball, sports, or anywhere else for that matter for that behavior, and honestly, I just hope that anyone who was affected by his actions gets the help that they need because they deserve that. Stop what you're doing and watch these highlights. The Oakland Athletics scored 12 runs. Yes, you heard that right. 12 runs. Ryan Noda, he blasted off for a 2-run home run, but remember, he's number 1 in the AL in terms of walks, so he has a stupid .385 on base percentage as well. Shea Langoliers, he popped off for his 10th home run, and after two-run singles from Tony Kemp and Este Ruiz, Oakland, they're 1 run away from a 10th spot. And yeah, I guess it was kind of anticlimactic, but you have Tyler Wade with an RBI groundout to make it a 10th spot, and immediately after, rookie Jordan Diaz, he connected on a home run of his own. That's an impressive win for the A's. And not gonna lie, I do like some of their young pieces, but they're still years away from actually completing the rebuild, if they ever are gonna do that. Staying with impressive wins and young pieces, Cincy, they were led by their young phenom Elly Cruz, who got into some trouble early on. Well, not really, because that bat knob actually had the microchip taken out. It is a bat knob that is made by a company called Blast that tracks the swing, the launch angle, all that different stuff. He was allowed to use it after being told to take it off, so it was a complete mess, but MLB called back saying, hey, the microchip was taken out, he can use that. Joey Votto, he went yard right after that sideshow, and Cincy went up even more after RBI doubles from Tyler Stevenson and Will Benson. Will Benson was completely stolen from Cleveland. I am so mad about that trade. TJ Friedel, he deserves more praise. He's hitting .310 with 22 extra base hits, 32 RBIs, and 16 stolen bases. But I guess when you have Elly Cruz on your team, you tend to get overshadowed. Elly went 455 feet to the second deck and trolled Washington in the process. He pointed to the bat knob. He fully enjoyed that. He has 7 hits and 2 stolen bases over his last 2 games. He's on pace for 16 home runs and 43 stolen bases despite being called up a month ago on June 6th. The Cincinnati Reds have now won 7 consecutive series on the road, something they haven't done since 1976 when they were called the Big Red Machine. The Pirates saw Cincy win another ball game and they wanted a piece of that. Brian Reynolds and Jack Sawinski, they both went yard, and it just seemed like it was going to be one of those games where Bobby Miller, he's young, he got lit up, he's going to have blow-up starts every so often, on to the next. But the Dodgers lineup got to face Roansy Contreras later on in the 5th, and he's been terrible this year. JD, he stepped up with 2 on and he cleared the deck. I hate to use a Pirates home run call, but that's exactly what he did. His 20th home run of the season to put the Dodgers up by 1, and David Peralta, the freight train, he went back-to-back. 36-year-old Daniel Hudson, he's still frying, folks. He struck out 2 hitters for his first save of the year. LA, they can get within 1.5 games of the Diamondbacks if the Mets can get a W. 1 start after striking out 8 Angels hitters over 5 innings. Tommy Henry, he locked in again and shut down a completely different offense. Henry matched Kodai Senga pitch for pitch as they each threw 6 shutout with a bunch of strikeouts. Tommy, he was taken out after 6, while Kodai, he stayed in and he got torched by Christian Walker. That was an absolute no-doubter. Walker now has 18 home runs on the season. Kodai, he had a short memory. He ended up getting through 8 innings on just that 1 run allowed with 12 strikeouts. He has a 3.3 ERA and he has the 5th best strikeouts per 9 for any starting pitcher in baseball. And the crazy part is, he's gonna get the W. Rookie Francisco Alvarez now has 15 home runs, which puts him in 3rd place for all rookies, and he did it in 20 fewer games than the other guys. Brett Beatty got on base, and Mark Canha, he tripled home Beatty. That was a massive run. It gives the Mets the lead, and the players were going absolutely nuts in the dugout. So again, they're up 2-1. David Robertson, he wrapped it up for his 13th save. The Mets have the 5th best ERA in all of baseball the last 2 weeks. They've won 4 games in a row. Here we go, the Angels and the Padres. Nando singled in the 1st and eventually scored after the Angels threw the ball around, allowing him to score. The Angels, they tied it and momentarily took the lead on a Joe Adell double, but San Diego, they had an angry Manny Machado who not only tied it, but he teed off in the 6th to steal the lead back. He passed Adrian Gonzalez for the most home runs in Petco Park. Those were for Seth Lugo, who now has a 3.3 ERA after going 6 innings, only allowing 1 run. Angels backup catcher Matt Thaiss sent one out to tie everything up again, and the Halos, they were trying their best to end their losing streak, just unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Xander Bogaerts had an RBI ground out to secure the lead, and Manny Machado, he took a walk with the bases loaded. He's basically hitting .300 with 4 home runs, 13 RBIs over the last 2 weeks. Josh Hader, he's now in the 20-save club. He has a 1.1 ERA. The Angels, they just got swept by the Padres. San Francisco better get back into the win column because the Padres have finally been looking like the team we expected them to be. The Mariners, they deployed Tommy Milone, who has played for 10 teams in his career. He was called upon to give Seattle a spot start, and he wasn't bad at all. The only problem is, one day after Seattle tossed a complete game shutout versus the Giants returned the favor with a shutout of their own. Alex Cobb, he was given a 2-run lead to work with after J-Rod dropped the ball in center field, and Cobb, he had 7 punch-outs over 6 scoreless. The Rogers brothers, they combined for 2 more shutout, and Camilo Duvall, he converted his 25th save of the season. The Giants, they do end their losing streak, and they beat the Mariners 2-0. So the Giants were on a 4-game skid, and speaking of 4-game skids, the Astros have the flip side of that. They've won their 4th game in a row. I hate to spoil it, but they beat the Rockies again. I'm so mad about this trade, by the way. 2 years ago, Cleveland, they traded Yainer Diaz. This kid has been an absolute monster. They traded him along with Phil Maton in exchange for Miles Straw, and on one swing, Diaz has more home runs than Straw does since 2021. And to make matters worse, he belted another one in the 4th inning. He has 10 home runs and a near 120 OPS plus as a rookie catcher. Now, I haven't heard too much from Jeremy Pena offensively this year, but there's his 10th home run. The defense is always going to be top shelf, though. Colorado, they showed some heart. They scored 4 between the 5th, 6th, and 7th, but Mauricio Dubon, he drove in Houston's 6th run on his 2nd base hit of the night. He has multiple hits in 3 of his last 4. He's honestly been one of the most underrated role players in MLB this year. Presley is up to 19 saves after striking out 2 more in this one. The Astros beat the Rockies 6-4. So we saw the Angels lose and the Astros win, so Texas, they're going to really really want to avoid an L here because Houston, they've been kind of reminding people that they're the big brother in that division. John Gray is going to try and limit the damage after getting into some trouble in the first inning. He gave up 2 runs on 2 singles from Justin Turner and Adam Duvall. Now, he did limit the damage after that, but JT, he got 1 more in the 5th. Justin Turner is now hitting .282 with 49 RBIs and a 120 OPS plus. Boston, they have done a great job at retooling, not full-blown rebuilding, which is an important thing to mention. They have retooled, they cut the fat, and they have not done a full-blown rebuild. They're also getting breakouts from Verdugo, Duran, and this kid right here, Brian Bayo. Yes, he allowed a 2-run home run to Adolis Garcia, but who hasn't? Adolis is the first guy into the 70 RBI club. He has 22 home runs and 71 RBIs, but Bayo, he locked back in. He got through 7 quality frames since April 29th. He has a 2.35 ERA. Kenley Jansen, he has 18 saves now. Boston fans, they got to feel encouraged because even at 44 and 43, yeah, they're playing pretty well with all the scraps that they put together. The Rangers are only 2 games up for first place now. You know who else is 2 games up for first? The Minnesota Twins over the Guardians. Now, Minnesota did what they were supposed to do. They swept the Royals. Edward Julian, he has a home run in back-to-back games. He has a 122 OPS plus as a rookie. Alex Kirilloff, he's enjoying a nice breakout season. He's up to a 380 on base percentage now, which is really impressive. He has 11% walk rate. Ryan Jeffers, he went yard, and Donovan Solano made it 5-0 in the 8th. Now, notice what I said, 5-0 in the 8th, and that's because Pablo Lopez, he was shutting down the Royals offense in dominant fashion. He went out there and tossed a complete game shutout, the second of the last 2 weeks for the Minnesota Twins. I think Joe Ryan did it a few days ago. Pablo Lopez struck out 4 Royals, allowing just 4 base hits. He missed a Maddox by 1 pitch. A Maddox after Greg Maddox is a complete game shutout in under 100 pitches. He did it in exactly 100 pitches. The Minnesota Twins have won 3 in a row, and I said this at the beginning of the year. On paper, they could be really good, just their offense has not been clicking, but lately, they're 7th in OPS over the last week, so they have been clicking, finally. The Phillies are looking for back-to-back dubs versus MLB's best team, and it started off nicely as Alec Bohm and Derek Hall, they both had RBI singles. JT Realmuto, he added another in the 3rd. Just every time the Phillies got back into it, Tampa would score it again. Luke Raley, hello? He's got 15 home runs. He's hitting .323 with 10 extra base hits and 12 RBIs over his last 65 at-bats. Trey, he's finally looking like the old Trey. His 9th home run, he has a .352 on base percentage and 6 stolen bases over his last 12 games. Friend of the channel, Bryson Stott, he grabbed an RBI single after Trey tied it, and man, Nick Castellanos can flat out rake. I'm so happy I get to say that out loud again. He's hitting .310 with 13 home runs, 26 doubles, and 55 RBIs. Brandon Marsh, just for fun, he laced a 2-run single for good measure. Philly is 2nd in OPS the last week, and they're 2nd in team ERA over the last 2 weeks. The Phillies, they've won 11 games in a row on the road. That is bad news for the rest of baseball. The Braves and the Guardians, Cal Quantrill is doing his best speed run to be a bullpen arm because, my God, he's been absolutely terrible as a starter this year. After giving up like 76 straight hits in the 1st, Atlanta, they found themselves up by 4. Matt Olson had a base hit. I think there was one by Austin Riley. I don't remember. Eddie Rosario, he ripped a 2-run single to cap off a 4-run 1st. Orlando Arcia, Cleveland was trying to make some momentum, but yeah, he made a spinning throw to save Soroka in the 2nd, and this is so upsetting, man. Sean Murphy, he could have been a Guardian, but Cleveland did not want to give up the prospects in the offseason. He's now hitting .305 with 15 home runs. Those are Joe Mauer numbers. He's a top 3 defensive catcher in baseball doing that. Austin Riley, he went the other way for his 16th home run. Olson now has 29 home runs and 70 RBIs. That makes me happy because I picked him to lead the National League in home runs. I mean, what can't the Braves do? Seriously, they win 8-1. Here we go, the Cubs and the Brewers. After Ian Happ knocked in Mike Tauchman for the lead, Milwaukee, they answered with a run from Willie Contreras and then 2 more in the 6th inning. Adames, he's hitting .204, but at least he has 13 home runs and really good defense. Brian Anderson, he drove in Milwaukee's 3rd run. So Chicago, they got to try and fight back. And now we're talking. No, like actually, Mike Tauchman, he delivered in the clutch on a 2-run double off of the amazing Devin Williams, and that's a go-ahead error. Tauchman, he scores after an error from Brian Anderson, and Adbert Alzole, I think I said that right, he struck out 2, he has 5 saves. Adbert, he was hyped up. He could be a sneaky good closing option for fantasy baseball and SORARE MLB over the next few weeks. Speaking of SORARE MLB, make sure you guys come join my private league. It is a lot of fun to play. I face you guys every single week. Again, it's free to play. SORARE MLB, click that link in the description or the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next recap.